Is control a bad idea in this cube? The aggro decks look really strong. I think that if you're going to try to play a control deck, you have to do so bearing in mind that beating aggro is one of your goals. But I would say that the amount of seats that get to build good aggro decks is a lot higher than the amount of seats that get to build good control decks. So the problem here is that we might be doing the same thing again, because I'm pretty sure I value Legion's Landing a lot higher than every other card in this pack. Mindstone's pretty good, I guess. Is this a Mindstone format? Legion's Landing is pretty narrow, but we'll do Mindstone. More informative. Wormcoil Engine, cards that are that good for that much mana are somewhat interchangeable. I value the capacity to play a deck that plays expensive cards in the form of ramp before I value what that kind of deck does with that kind of ramp. But for the sake of education, let's take the Day of Judgment and try to do the control deck thing here. And then I think I value Meathook Massacre as a way to get through indestructible creatures more than I value just a 5-mana Wrath. Also, like, Meathook Massacre is probably just a better card. So we will accept that. So I could take a white-black land here with no real commitment to the red, or I could take multiple choice, which is fine, but I think we can find win cons. Would prefer to take fixing at this point. I do not think Phyrexian Processor is a magic card that is good, so I will try to avoid that. Oh, this is bizarre. This is the unnerfed version of Baba Lysaga that was never legal at any point in time in any format in Arena's history. Until now. Because this was 4 mana in its limited format as soon as it came out. Right? How truly wild. I wonder if they did that intentionally or they just used the non-alchemy versions of every card by default, and that just happened to result in this version of the card being used. I think Champion of Wits is like the only card here that's even remotely good for a control deck. We might not end up in blue, we might not play it, but yeah. I don't hate Restoration of Iganjo. Or just being ramp and a random creature. This is weird. None of these cards are good. Do I just take the Cave of the Frost Dragon even though it's horrible? I mean, hypothetically I could play Negate, but I don't want to. Let's just take the dual land on the off chance, keep our options open because every other card is bad. Giganta, can't play. Patient Rebuilding's a win con for a control deck. That's not out of the question. Ooh, the Unbreakable formation came back. How sad. Urtai, weirdly enough, is not actually the kind of card that I want in this sort of an Esper control deck, because it's not about tempo, which is kind of what Urtai is all about. It's about running your opponent out of resources. and trying to get 2-for-1s out of board wipes, so I think I just happily take the fixing. Take Field of Ruin? I guess? Maybe that's not garbage? It's pretty garbage, though. But everything else is also very bad. We're not going to actually try to make the Field of Ruin work, but we will hold on to the Field of Ruin in case we have nothing else happen. Thassa's Intervention is one of the few sorts of counterspells that I'm actually a big fan of, but I think I value the mana more, given that our mana is currently ludicrously sketchy at actually succeeding at being Esper. Yeah, Field of... They should not have had 2 cards named Field of the Blank or Field of Blank. I cannot be expected to keep things clear. Alright. Multiple Choice was a card I was not adverse to playing in Esper Control, so sure. Would have taken Evolving Wilds earlier? I don't actually think this is like super high priority fixing. But I also kind of hate tap lands with a passion. It seems kind of loose to describe this art as a field, if I'm being honest. Is this not like the Chasm of the Dead? Gorge of the Dead? Crevasse of the Dead? Like, even before it split open, if you're implying that's a recent thing, I don't really want Timeless Witness, but okay. There's no grass. Don't you need grass to be a field? Can you be a field without grass? Is that legal? I don't think you can say before it split open, it was like, no grass. Is Bastard Remembrance either player? No, when you control. This is not a good pack. Kaido does not really support this style of deck strategy in the slightest. In fact, all of these cards are pretty bad for me. I just pass and take 2 from the next pack instead. Yeah, I legitimately don't want a single one of these cards. Take the Blood Crypt. Just in case we end up in red, keep my options open. I don't really want these either. This is not coming together at all. I guess this is fine. What am I doing? I could just take the blue-black fixing. I'm probably just supposed to take the blue-black fixing. Okay, Search for Escanta is pretty good. I'm happy with a good piece of card advantage. Glacial Fortress, Midnight Clock, Noxious Gearhulk. I'm pretty sure Midnight Clock is just pretty good in a deck with a bunch of board wipes. Draw 7's a very powerful effect. Pretty good at breaking parity. Mole Drifter is just a divination, which I'm probably fine with. Circuit Mender is also sort of a divination that I'm probably kind of fine with. Actually, yeah, I kind of think this is Circuit Mender. I could play Indant the Triome, but I feel like I have way too many tap lands already, and I really don't want to be committing to the Field of the Dead thing. Yeah, Blanket, I think they just didn't use the Alchemy versions of any of the cards. We've also discovered they did not use the Alchemy versions of the Alchemy cards. That's how wild this all is, right? Exclude is like weirdly close to a card I kind of like, but I think we're on Isolated Chapel, especially given that we already have 2 duels that enable it. Probably just Clearwater Pathway here. Yeah, I suppose, even though it had a bunch of cards in it that were only in Alchemy and nothing else. There's the Scape Shift. Are we brave enough? No. Am I willing to play Thief of Sanity for control mirrors? I don't think so. Is Narset in this cube to combo with Commit? I don't think so, but I'm also pretty sure that every other card here isn't actually good. Stop hiding bad cards in my deck like I'm going to play them. It's not going to happen. No Narset Parter avails. Wild. I do actually think that I'm sort of okay playing Lauren. Ooh, Mole Drifter came back. Rad. Not like great, but could be worse. No Torbran for red player. I'm not sure how Torbran managed to make it this far, but it's no longer my fault. Ooh. Alright. Here's where choices start happening. Scarab God? Bankbuster? Deserted Beach. Infernal Grasp, Seal Away. So we're probably going to wheel a removal spell out of here of some kind or another. I kind of think Scarab God adds the most to this deck that we're currently lacking. Which is sort of weird, but alright, I'm here for it. Well, I'm being responsible. I'm looking at the rest of the cards in the pack. I don't see anything relevant. So, okay. Now we have a Teferi Hero of Dominaria. And there is a real plan afoot. Could take Haze of Koilos. I probably should. Okay, let's actually start cutting these so I know how many cards I need to fill. 3, 6, 7. So I need a lot more cards. I think we take Go for the Throat over the land. just take Time Wipe, I'm guessing? I don't really want to play a land that's just not even necessarily better than an island. Micromancer gets nothing that I care about. Harvest isn't good. So, yeah. Willing to play 5 mana board wipe. Nothing here that's terribly exciting. We will take the cut down for the anti-aggro purposes. Here we will take Fatal Push for the same reasons. Yes. This deck is now probably at the point where it's not playing Field of the Dead. Well, maybe it might still have to, actually. Professor Onyx. Not particularly good, but every other card is bad, so... Chromatic Orrery might actually be better for this deck than Professor Onyx. That might have been a mistake. Kaya's not bad, but I would rather have the dual land. We're not that many dual lands away from playing Field of the Dead here. Especially because we're going to be playing 3 different kinds of basics. Oh, we wield no removal, but we got Bankbuster, which I'm pretty sure we're just supposed to be happy with. 3, 6, 8. So we're at 20 cards right now. Sanguine Brushstroke's probably not very good. Displacer Kitten? We have Circuit Mender, Muldrifter, Champion of Wits, Restoration, Lauren, Teferi, Professor... Oh, what just got picked? I didn't realize I had that little time. All right. Well, I was going to talk myself into saying that there's actually a pretty reasonable chance that we're supposed to take the cat. Oh, we got an unplayable Karn instead? Oh, well. Penalties. Still not entirely certain that the cat was, like, good with the board wipe plan, but I'm pretty sure it was good with the rest of the plans. I don't know. Maybe we can play Spell Pierce? Can we play Hive? I don't think so. Morbid Opportunist. That might almost be reasonable if I'm desperate for more playables. If Karn had +1 Seek a Land, I would be interested in Karn. The problem with Karn is that it's a 4-mana Planeswalker with an uptick that is worse than draw a card. And that's not the best. Okay, so this is... Three, 6, 9, plus 8 is 17, so we need 2 more playables. Although we also need to have a second swamp so that Evolving Wilds can cast Meathook and Onyx. Commit isn't horrible. Morbid Opportunist is almost interesting. I have 3 pieces of single target removal. Four if you count Professor Onyx. But I guess it also replaces itself if we board wipe. Hive helps Field of the Dead, but is a tap land. And if we're playing a basic count that's 3/3/2, we're actually really close to not meaningfully improving our mana base by cutting the third copy of a basic. So, like, if I was to cut Swamp for Hive of the Eye Tyrant, that would make very little difference. The only time it ever makes a difference is when we don't have 7 different types of lands in play, and we've gotten both swamps. And like, I think losing out on the Evolving Wilds able to grab the second swamp, or top deck swamp being untapped to cast Meathook Massacre, are both enough of a reason that I don't want Hive of the Eye Tyrant. In addition to Hive just being a tap land for 3 drops and 5 drops, which we have a ton of. The total lack of 4 drops and the fact that we have a Mind Stone kind of makes me want to play Commit and Karn over Opportunist or Kaido. I don't like Karn very much, but I like Kaido even less. And I don't think Combat Courier is good enough to be a card we care about. Which means I think this is the control deck. I am certainly not excited about where it's at. I mean, Day of Judgment and Meathook Massacre is still pretty good. So this definitely could be worse. But by no means is this as clean and efficient as any of the other decks we drafted tonight. But alright, let's give this a go. We're going to actually have to work for our wins this time. Yeah, let's take a double check. Anything I'm missing? No. Alrighty. I think you run a Black Shock and a Temple Garden. In a format with this much aggro, I think my mana base for Field is already super consistent. We have no lands that we have more than 3 copies of. That's like a better Field of the Dead mana base than any of the mana bases that you ever played in a constructed deck. Well, no, that's not true. 3 in 40 is pretty close to 4 in 60. It's pretty close to a constructed mana base, though. It's not great, but it's got a board wipe, so can't be that bad. The goal is generally 10 non-basics for Field. I think if you're doing a 2-color deck, that's true. I think Field is less about... Field mana bases are not about how many different names of lands you have. It's how many of the same names of lands you have. So, like, for example, 7 forests is a lot worse than 2/3/3, like we have right now. Just because it reduces how likely it ever is that you have, like, bad strings where you get all one type of basic. Opponent is not doing anything quick, which is a good sign. Do not think I want this Fatal Push. I think I want to keep the Commit. I don't think I want this Professor Onyx. Commit gives me guaranteed action next turn. Not willing to trade Spirited Companion with Champion of Wits, huh? Some tiny bit surprising. Okay, so they're hard into Displacer Kitten. I think I'm comfortable letting them blink Pilgrim's Eye this turn if that's what they're about. And then I just time wipe. Yeah, that's fine. They get to draw a card. They get to... Wait, did they put Yorion in their deck instead of as a companion? Wow. I guess it's kind of hard to get that many cards. Did I let him draw 2? Letting them draw 2 so that I can draw 1 seems like a mistake. Do I want Champion of Wits in the graveyard enough that I'm willing to attack with it and see if they block with the Spirited Companion before I board wipe? Or do I not care? Well, 2 free damage. I'm still sort of wondering if Patient Rebuilding was the better play there. I'm assuming this gets countered. No? Wow. Okay. I didn't want to jam Patient Rebuilding into that amount of mana, is why I didn't care about what Auto Tapper was doing. Well, Yorion plus Wandering Emperor is a combo. I don't really want to take this damage. They did not leave up double blue, which means we don't have to worry about actual factual counterspell. They did not set the stop to use their Wandering Emperor. That is painful. I have done that before. Alright. No counterspell, please? Alright. Good sign, good sign, good sign. Don't think I'd bother go for the throating. I've got enough life that I can just meat hook later. So we'll just develop the Bank Buster now instead. Yeah, that's kind of sad, but that's why we played the Bank Buster. Okay, so our win con is gone, but we've got Champion of Wits, we got Bank Buster, we got Meat Hook Massacre. So, we can still eke out the value. I don't know why it's so adverse to using Mind Stone. Oh, because it's holding up the ability to activate Mind Stone, right. As long as I'm holding up Go for the Throat and Reckoner Bank Buster, I'm happy enough. The cards they could have had there on that 2-mana turn that I was worried about counterspell-wise were Negate and Disdainful Stroke that I know are in the cube. Memory Lapse being too powerful for the cube when counterspell is not is actually exactly what I would have expected. Scarab God. Yeah, you're exciting. I kind of forgot that we got like the Champion of Wits and Scarab God and Hero of Dominaria combo. So this is like all-star hits of Esper mid-range control. Mirari Conjecture. Okay. I had no idea that was a magic card that existed. So they have to exile 2 cards from their hand right now to cast March. which is fine. I don't... if they have 2 cards in hand to exile to march my Scarab God, I will just accept that. But in the meantime, I would like to get back this kitten so that I can protect my Scarab God from a march. So we kind of force them to march here. That's a 4/4. Pretty good. Opponent loses life. Oh, that's a good card. I like Teferi. Well, this seems to be going kind of well. Let's go ahead and play Teferi. And, oh, I should have used Mind Stone. Shoot. Didn't think about that. Alright, hold full control. Target Mind Stone. Submit. In response. Float mana. I forgot about the Displacer Kitten trigger entirely, to be honest. Resolve. Get rid of Mirari Conjecture and all my opponent drawn cards. So never non-creature. Okay. Tap Mind Stone. Draw with Bankbuster. Play Midnight Clock. Blink Teferi. Get Midnight Clock. Down tick on Wandering Emperor. Good times, good times, good times. Attacks? No. We don't need attacks here. So they can march the Displacer Kitten, but at this point, I think I've got enough value that I don't care. Just started playing MTG a little over a week ago. With this draft being a Phantom draft, what's the best way to get cards? Let's see. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this in a second. Does somebody in chat want to find an arena guide to how to economically use your packs for draft? Because how to most use your free currency to draft effectively. Because using the free currency that it gives you to draft, if you don't have a preference for format, is bang for your buck the best way to build a collection to eventually play limited or to eventually play constructed. Yeah, we're just doing this way. But I don't remember what the exact best formats to do are. We're going to Teferi downtick again and play Scarab God. And then pass. Don't actually have a way to... Oh, I do have a way to protect my Scarab God from their march. I have a Yorion to blink my Scarab God in response to the march. If you are brand new, then don't jump into spending your money to play limited eventually. I would say watch streamers who are playing limited formats that are interesting to you. But what to start with? The thing about limited is that once you hit a certain win rate, it's the most effective way to use your currency. But using your currency on it right away before you feel super comfortable playing at like a 50-50 win rate with the other players on average on the client, it's not necessarily going to be as good a return as just not spending your money or not spending your currency and waiting to get better. But the other problem is limited is the one format there's not really any way to play for free with. Limited not being the best for a brand new player is sort of true. Limited is not the best thing to jump into immediately. It is, however, if your goal is to be a free-to-play player, the format that is most worth following and trying to get better at. This works. 2-drop, 3-drop. Yeah, limited is definitely this is the ideal way to start, but it is not the ideal way to be cost-effective conundrum. Am I about to get spell pierced? Bravo, opponent. I'm proud for you. Lion's Sash. Wow, okay. It's not what I was expecting. Following up a spell pierce. But I guess that makes them like blue-white aggro-ish? The good news is Restoration of Iganja gets back this Reckoner Bankbuster by discarding this 6-drop I don't like. It's a perfect plan. Unfortunately, it still doesn't leave me able to cast anything this turn. Or use my mana at all in any way. So I guess I'm just hoping that they give me the ability to time wipe. What does passing with 3 colors open mean? Opponents already demonstrated a willingness to put counterspells in their deck, which means Negate and Disdainful Stroke are certainly options. The strongest card I could play here is probably Patient Rebuilding if it were to resolve. But I don't know how to feel about the likelihood of that happening. Scarab God dodges Negate. I think I'll just see what happens. Apparently what happens is that my opponent has a double blue counterspell in their 3-mana deck. 3-color deck. I think I would rather block Lion's Sash than get in 4 damage. Still no double blue for the opponent. Okay. Bye-bye Bankbuster again. Card advantage is not really super important to me right now, given that Patient Rebuilding typically draws a huge number of cards. Yeah, like that. Sweet. We will describe that as pretty good. Combat swing. This does fuel the Lion's Sash quite a bit, but, you know, I feel like I'm okay with that. Let's sit here and do Teferi things. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle. Oh no. Not my card advantage. Whatever will I do with all of this more card advantage? Right at the bottom. Spell Pierce feels weirdly strong here. That I'm just probably going to get to resolve this time wipe without too much inconvenience. Oh, milled 2 Moxes. Go us. Doink. I mean, do I even care enough about killing this Oracle to time wipe here? I guess the alternative is not really doing anything at all. Boink. Return Architect to our hand. Blow up the opponent's board. Mox. Sure. That's basically just a land at this point. Does make Spell Pierce worse, though. Foretelling. Okay. We're almost to the point where the opponent has fewer cards in deck than us because we've been so efficient at drawing cards. Time Walk. Oh no. I got to play around Spell Pierce. Okay. Little does the opponent know that a card that just draws a card is to my benefit. Secretly milling them faster. Oh, milled Ancestral Recall. That's cool. Anything fun in their deck? Not really. Just Oracle. Oh, Cat, what are you... What are you screaming about? Goodness gracious. Oh. Alright. I think we just play Lauren in Restoration. Blow up our opponent's land. Draw more cards. Get more stuff. Play more tap lands. Hold up Spell Pierce. We can mill them out with Lauren. Makes things go faster. How delightful. Doot, doot, doot. Ah, milling more good cards. Perfect. Do we have anything in the graveyard we can get back? No, but we can get back a land. A combat, swing for 2. Play Scarab God. Hold up commit, hold up Scarab God activation. Opponent's down to 1 more card than us. We're gonna get there eventually. Opponent Bass is doing nothing. Fine by me. Let's get... Now let's have some fun. Let's put cards in my deck so I will not mill out. And then we can start doing Lauren stuff eventually. Maybe. Hypothetically. No, don't really want a Mox. Oh hey, a Mox. Oh hey, a Field of the Dead. Cool. Alright, make a zombie. Ooh, Field of the Dead, Scarab God? Zombie triggers? Synergies? Oh, look at that. Alright, and a Mox. Then we can play a Karn. Still have... well... not quite enough mana. Maybe they'll give us a land with Karn. Come on, give us a land, give us a land, give us a land, give us a land, give us a land. It's not... okay, Time Walk or Midnight Clock? I get the feeling we're going to get a Midnight Clock. Oh, it's not a Time Walk? It's a Time Twister. Oh, lame. Yeah, that's not really a card I get to use. How sad. So they would activate Cave of the Frost Dragon here, presumably. Okay, no attacks. I don't want to walk into a Wandering Emperor or to settle the wreckage, not when I'm having so much fun. Oh, bloodthirsty adversary, huh? That's adorable. Okay, do you want to spend a bunch of mana on that? I mean, that's a cool synergy with Oracle of the Alpha. But yeah, I was just gonna counter whatever they played after they spent the mana. Need to play more black to get a feel for how it likes to play. So here is something kind of interesting in regards to like the idea of feeling like blue plays ways that annoy you, or trying to get a feeling for how black plays. Just a second. An interesting thing to note is that although each color does sort of have its own takes on how to play the game, that the other colors don't do exactly the same. It's more nuanced than you might think at first, because it's not like blue is the controlling color, and it's not like red is the aggressive color. That is more common in a lot of ways. But what's interesting is that each color kind of does each thing in its own way. So you can have a really annoying controlling green deck, but the way that green does that will be different compared to the way that a blue deck would do that same thing. A blue deck might do it through a bunch of counter spells to directly stop your spell from doing something while you're casting it. A green deck that is trying to achieve that same effect might do it by means of playing a lot of fighting creature-based removal spells, or a lot of creatures that just kind of gum up the board by being too big to attack through while they draw cards and replace themselves. Functionally, the win condition can be the same, but like the way blue does aggro is kind of different, and the mono blue deck that's in standard right now actually is closer to a mono blue aggro deck than a mono blue control deck per se, because it's all about it is about playing cards that counter your opponent's stuff, more or less, but it's less about just like sitting around and doing that forever, and more about I'm going to get to turn 4, I'm going to play a big creature and hold up one piece of interaction to stop you from killing it, and if that stops you from killing it and I untap, then I'm going to go absolutely hog wild and kill you. So the different tools that each color has kind of do some interesting things in varied ways. Adds a lot of depth to it, and you might find out that you actually really love a color you thought you hated. Chris, what do you think is a really consistent historic deck / color? Consistent? I don't know. I honestly haven't played historic in a while, so I could like say that I have played Jeskai mid-range and control largely for the past while, personally, but that's more of a personal preference than anything else. Yeah, it is very expensive to play every deck in Magic. The best you can do is do a lot of playing vicariously through streamers, as far as making that efficient goes. I really wish I had gotten that search for Ascanta a turn earlier. Oh well. I forgot this card was in our deck. This is such a good card. It's been so long since I've gotten to play with Search for Ascanta. Oh wow, we have this plus Hero of Dominaria? We really are like the old Esper deck from Standards past, just with a random Mold Drifter. Oh, please spend your mana trying to flip that Concealing Curtains. I almost want to let this resolve and put the trigger on the stack to force them to make me discard a card for Search for Ascanta. I mean, they can choose not to. Is the reason that isn't a good idea? Nah. I should just keep myself guaranteed to have a 4-drop, is what I should do. But that was almost cute. Now, see, it would have drawn me a land. So, it was a mistake to have done that, and I'm happy with what I've chosen to do instead. Now we'll just do our curve thing. Still amazed people found Teferi the offensive card in that deck and not Ascanta. It is because of Teferi's downtick. People do not like cards that remove their fun cards. No matter what every other consideration says, ultimately that tends to be what makes people the most sad. Alright. I mean, they're probably going to counter this. So then I can evoke Mold Drifter, which goes a long way towards getting enough stuff in the graveyard for Search for Ascanta. Wow, that happened. Alright. Well. Ooh, Thief of Sanity. There's a scary magic card. This is interesting. Do I play Professor Onyx or Midnight Clock Meathook Massacre? If they have Spell Pierce, Midnight Clock into Meathook Massacre is better. And also having Midnight Clock is probably just better than having Professor Onyx anyway. We have a lot of mana, and we know the opponent's still missing another land drop because of the commit to memory from earlier. Seems pretty good. Is this the part where the opponent concedes because they can't stop Ascanta from flipping? Yeah. Yes, it is. I mean, I guess you can play this and bounce Search for Ascanta, but that's a pretty sad use of your time, isn't it? Especially when then I just get to spend 2 mana to replay Search for Ascanta. Alright, well, the dirtily mid-range control thing is kind of working, but we've also really only played against other dirtily mid-range control decks, and we have not yet faced the test of aggro that is the real question. Oh. Alright, well, heads up apparently, that I did not realize this, but this is on Twitter. Apparently there's a major leak of the Phyrexia storyline on Reddit. So, nobody discuss that here, please. But, heads up and warning that if that is something you want to avoid, you're going to have to take active measures to avoid it in all likelihood. It's probably better to play Mind Stone on 2 and Bankbuster on 3 than the other way around. Yeah. I don't know if I want to play Restoration on turn 3 or if that's more of a turn 4 play. I think it's something we want to do on turn 4. So I think I want to go Bankbuster, draw this turn, and then Restoration, draw next turn. I have no clue if it's cards. Also, I was just told via Twitter that it was story, and as someone who has to pay attention to cards when they get spoiled for professional reasons, since I price cards for a living, I don't really get a choice in ignoring them because I can't, but storyline stuff, that is easier to ignore and be surprised by when it comes out. So the opponent's missing lands and we're kind of just drawing a bunch of cards, which once more means this is a lot of us kind of just getting to do our thing while the opponent doesn't really do anything. Again. Oh dear. Alright, there goes our enchantment that already drew a card. This is a little silly, isn't it? Alright, well, let's just keep drawing cards all day, forever. Never stop drawing cards. And making mana. I feel like we're being a good friend here, because we're giving the opponent time to play their stuff, even though their mana was awkward to them. And if we were like an aggro deck, we would have just run them over, and that would have been so rude. But here, like, we're giving them an opportunity to draw out of it, play, have fun. You know? Right? Sporting? And all that? Opponent has 27 cards in deck, which gives them, I don't know, like 7 turns to kill us. No, my little 1/1 that I wanted to jump block with. That's so rude. But also I gained 3 life. Considering we can just kill Luris, I should probably keep the Bankbuster around to do other stuff later on. Draw 3? Wow, that's like a 0 mana Ancestral Recall. Sweet. So if I were to time wipe... I don't have blue mana. I can fetch another blue mana with Evolving Wilds. I would prefer to hold up Spell Pierce, so Mind Stone, Day of Judgment, Luris go bye-bye, we draw a card. No, I'd rather hold up Commit if possible. I mean, I'll allow my opponent to cast their spells, but I don't really want their spells to actually resolve. Here, we know they're missing land drops, so we'll help them by putting that card back on top of their deck instead of a land. That way we're less likely to mill a land for them. That's just us being helpful. Karn. Uptick. Realistically, that probably should have been a downtick, but oh well. Circuit Mender? Yeah, because I'm still low on blue sources, so I can't play Champion of Wits and hold up Spell Pierce here. Because I think it auto-tapped Karn, which was my bad for allowing it to do that. Opponent at 19 cards in library. We'll go ahead and Spell Pierce that card that could do damage to me at some point in the game. Oh, look at that. Agadeem's Awakening synergy, not letting me draw a card with Patient Rebuilding. Wow. Yeah, Cube is typically about as casual as limited formats get. Right now is probably about as competitive as Cube ever gets, on account of there actually being a pretty big money tournament this weekend. So I'm trying a little bit harder to learn than I normally would. I mean, we're still kind of memeing here. I have Field of Ruin in my deck. I've had Field of Ruin in 2 of my decks today. Field of the Dead, rather. This is not really a good hand, but like Circuit Mender is not a terrible anti-aggro card. And if we actually manage to draw a blue source, this hand is totally fine. If Guardian Idol. Alright, that kind of has me scared. This has been not good draws thus far. Oh, opponent, please don't play mid-range cards. Oh dear. No, opponent has lands. I'm jealous. Go for the throat. I can't even use that to blow up my own Circuit Mender. Alright, well, after the last game and me taking a little bit too much pleasure in that, maybe I deserve this. I'm actually going to let that swing to see if they exert it. Because I actually really would like them to exert that. So that I get to draw a card with Circuit Mender. Because I'm missing land drops. I think that was a pretty big mistake of them to do, just to force through 2 damage. But I will take it. What are you? X is 4, do all of the above. I can make a 4/4. Yeah, I think I wait. I don't think I want to play that for 1 when I've already made my land drop for the turn. I think we are best off just holding up commit and trying to top deck another land. Wow, Chandra, that would be horrifying if it resolved. Thank goodness I can counter uncounterable spells. Yeah, okay. X equals 1. Scry 1, then draw. Get rid of that card. Draw another card. Okay. Good stuff. Opponent draws a 6-drop next turn. Legion Warboss. Set a main phase stop. I would like Legion Warboss to die before it gets to do anything, please. Okay. Taking 2 damage. Very well. You want to play something that's spell pierceable for me, opponent? Oh, that's rude. Alright, well, blue source is good. Patient rebuilding. I would not like my opponent... Oh, that's not how that works. Shoot. I messed up. I was supposed to play Teferi and downtick on the Guardian Idol. I thought I was going to mill that. That just made this a lot more complicated than it needs to be. Gross. So yeah, I was supposed to play Teferi. I mean, they still get the Chandra eventually, and I just lose the Teferi. I'm not actually convinced this was worse. I'm just not favored like I thought I was from any position. Yeah, in fact, even realizing that mistake, I still do the same thing again. Anyway, take a look at my Bro Premier Draft build. Have 41 cards with 16 lands. Needs a cut. Ooh. That is a very interesting pool. I cannot help you with that. That is not anything that stands out as having an easy cut. My guess is probably Moment of Defiance, because that's never been a card that impressed me very much. But... yeah. My experience would lean towards Moment of Defiance is probably a card that I don't hate, but that I would most readily cut in this list. So I could play Teferi, downtick on Chandra to stop me from getting hit by this. It's probably wrong. I'm not entirely sure I can recover from the amount of damage I've taken here. Alright, that's going to be tricky when it flashes back. Can I beat the fact that they are going to flash that back for 3 damage immediately? We can hope. I can hope they play a bunch of creatures and let me Meathook Massacre to gain life. That's an out. 18 cards in deck for the opponent. Taken 3. Aren't they supposed to kill Teferi? With me having 2 Chandra emblems, I don't think so. I think dealing 3 damage to me is better than killing to Teferi. Puts me on a 3-turn clock. And I don't have a 3-turn clock on them. Well, now, maybe I kind of do? Not even a 3-turn, actually. I have to kill him next turn. Unless... Oh, I was supposed to do that sorcery speed. Forgot all their stuff has haste. Well, if I get back Siege Gang into Torberon... Oh, but does this make it not red? Yeah, it makes it not red, so no Torberon synergy. So it's probably supposed to reanimate Glorybringer, but... Siege Gang's still pretty good. And I can actually Meathook my own Siege Gang stuff, but if we take 2 damage here... Yeah, that's... Oh, wait, no, Scarab God gains life! Right? No. Just loses life. Still, why did they not... I'm assuming they just have another burn spell. It's true, the Goblin tokens are still red. I don't think I'm going to have enough red sources, though. Why did they not kill me? No, we're probably not getting there. Do I have anything in my deck that gains life at instant speed? No. Do I have anything in my graveyard? Yes. Yes? Okay. Comes back to my hand. Draw a bunch of cards. Go to 1. Go to main phase. Play a land. Get a zombie. Uptick Teferi. Play Scarab God. Swing 8, put them to 6. Is there a way that the Meat Hook Massacre is better here? I don't think so. Oh, what if I Karn? Is Karn down tick Crew Bankbuster? I mean, this is probably still lethal, right? I'm pretty sure this is all just still lethal regardless. Get Glorybringer. True Scarab God. Swings. Okay. Never didn't have it. Oh, wow, I'm... Oh. Okay, is that why they didn't Royal Eruption us to the fate? No, if they Royal Eruptioned us to the face, we were dead. Yeah, oh, okay, okay, okay. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Jeez. Yeah, Circuit Mender, like, salvaged that game, including all the way back at the very beginning, when we allowed them to kill our Circuit Breaker for us, which drew us the lands that we had missed. We were playing against an aggro deck with a control deck, and we missed lands, and still somehow clawed that back. I mean, I guess they weren't really, like, that aggro. They played a 3-drop, a 5-drop, and then a 6-drop. But, hypothetically... we're on the play. We can't cast any of our spells, and our mana is bad. So this is fine, because we'll eventually just play Time Wipe, and all of the negative tempo early on will be reversed. Oh no, they get to take multiple choice. I was almost so happy there for a second. Oh. Well, okay. This is kind of working. How about you just play some 3-mana thing that I can spell pierce, opponent? Please? Cultivate, 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 cultivate. Cultivate, cultivate, cultivate. Cultivate. Good enough! Man, there's a very good chance that Search for Escant is a better card than Karn. But I'm gonna default to being mana efficient. Oh, give me that Field of the Dead. If you're not giving me the Field of the Dead this turn, I'm gonna get the Field of the Dead next turn as long as I don't kill Karn. Oh, thank you! Wow, actually giving me the card I prefer. How polite. Okay, sure. What just happened? Why are we 6-0 with this? I was kind of joking when I said we were going to go 7-2 and then 7-1 and then 7-0, but alright. This doesn't feel like a deck that should be winning, but I also feel like none of our opponents have actually been aggressive yet. Alright. This is a mana base that sort of functions. I love how consistently we're able to discard this Professor Onyx. Ooh, that's actually mildly concerning. That is no 4th land at the moment. Oh, okay. There's our 4th land. Never didn't have it, etc., etc. I'm assuming we get an island here. Thank you, opponent. I kind of wanted that. Karn's at 6. Don't care if they hit that with Cultivator, so we'll get our damage in where we can. Ooh, Patient Rebuilding. Oh my, that would be a problem if that was actually going to stick around. Patient Rebuilding Mirror? Yeah, I kind of suspected that they were not going to give me the Patient Rebuilding. Well, if I can't have a Patient Rebuilding, then you can't either, opponent. And as much as I love Patient Rebuilding, one of these two cards saw a lot of standard play and the other didn't. Gold Steelheart, sure. More big blue-red spells stuff. Why not? Uptick to Fairy, see what we get. Hopefully it's a land. It is. Perfect. It's the best land in the deck. Keep upticking Karn, because there's no lands in the graveyard. Or, well, no lands in exile. And I really just want lands. Thank you, opponent, for giving me that beautiful plains. I appreciate it. Would like to play my Bankbuster. Does that resolve? Cool, thank you. I will play my Field of the Dead now and pass the turn. Untap some lands, get to do Reckoner Bankbuster things. Yeah, Memory Deluge sounds like a good card, so no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types with a 6th in hand. Alright. Shatterskull Smashing. Okay, that's pretty good. Bye-bye, Planeswalkers. Draw a card. Ooh, Evolving Wilds is going to be fun. We get to grab Swamp. Well, that's perfect. The Plains. They return a creature. That's not so useful. If I do this for 5, I can't activate Bankbuster. That's not really acceptable to me. So, okay. Champion of Wits, pop, and go. So, now they get to, like, Memory Deluge stuff. You know, we're, like, fighting with Field of the Dead, so this is actually turning into a real control mirror now. Mind you, I might have slightly too many removal spells to be, like, completely effective in a control mirror, but... But this could be a lot worse. Yeah, that's not surprising. Do I have anything in my deck that can interact with that? Yes, I have Commit. So, we thin the deck. We get our Swamp. We draw a card. We whiff on Commit. So we discard to hand size. Yeah, that's fine. What are we discarding here? Probably Time Wipe? Oh, but Time Wipe could return Bankbuster. That might be relevant. Probably not. We're at the point where I'm actually going to have to start racing that Patient Rebuilding because I am, like, hyper close to decking. Well, I guess I actually have 2 different cards that shuffle my deck back in, come to think of it. In Commit and Deluge? Not Deluge, Memory... Memory, no, just Memory. It's just Memory. Alright, Cycle... not worth cracking a treasure to cycle, is it? I don't think so. Midnight Clock, there we go. Crew. Combat. Swings. What you got for me? Settle Wreckage. Huh. That's interesting. So that gets, what, 1 swamp, 1 island, 1 plains? I think I'm okay with that. We play our anti-mill card. 1, 2, perfect. Sure. Getting memory milled is also an anti-mill card. Although if they have a counterspell, this does get kind of awkward. And there's a decent chance that's a saw it coming. So we're going to have to rely on the midnight clock first. You have a disenchant? Wow. Okay. Alright, so we need to draw commit? We're fine if we draw commit. It's not commit. I need 10 mana? I have 3, 6, 9, 12. So I can spend 4 mana, so I can't multiple choice for 4. Perfect. We commit the patient rebuilding. Play our land. I think I am supposed to hold on to the treasure. And then we kill the 2/2. Alright. Well, somewhere in their deck is a patient rebuilding, and I am still not at a super high number of cards in hand, but I guess now I have Teferi. Karn. That gets Sock coming, did? Yes. They've got a counterspell. I don't recall what we saw out of them. Did we see any kind of spell pierce effect that they might have up here? I'd really rather resolve Teferi than resolve Professor Onyx. I think we go for Teferi. Slightly more likely that resolves first, I think. We're a Ral, since they felt strongly about having it. Oh, can that hit Planeswalkers? Oh, that might have been a mistake. No. Well. Play Professor Onyx. Did they exile our... Ooh, you're good. Oh, that mills? Oh. Yeah, Professor Onyx is not good. They did not exile our... whatchamacallit. Clock tower thingy. And it kills the 2/2s. Alright, what in graveyards? No creatures. Yikes. This is gonna mill 3. This mills 3. This mills 1, so I'll go to 2. Okay. I think that's worth it to try to find a clock. Or fail. So I need them to not mill the clock, which I can do with Castle Vantris. I mean, I guess that means that I have to do this now. So we scry 2. There's clock. That goes on the bottom. Moldrifter stays on top. Now, how many cards do I have? 5. So they mill 3. So let's put clock on top after the mill. Okay. Down to 2. Oh, and we milled a Lauren that we get to reanimate to blow up the patient rebuilding? Okay. Ral, sure. Copy? That might not be good. That would be pretty bad if they still had patient rebuilding. It is still pretty bad regardless. But it's not the end of the game. So it's going to be 4, 8 damage in the air currently. Plus another 4 from Elder Dragon War that I get to kill. Plus more RAL triggers. Still going to be tight. Still gonna be tight. Need them to have a lot of not anything. Alright, damage, take 4 down to 9. have no lethal targets left to seek. Sure. One, two, three. It's starting to be a lot of damage. Oh, wait, I gain life from this. Okay, I forgot about that part. That's not a good sign. Yeah, that's a pretty bad sign, actually. So close. So many things answered, but not enough. Oh. Down to their final card. I wonder, would I have been able to clean this up? 10 active player, non-active player, so meat hook doesn't work out for me. If I somehow wasn't dead, was I capable of winning from there? Yeah, I mean, they probably just don't swing out with everything if I'm not dead. We didn't die in a mill. This is true. This is true. So we did not successfully go 7-0. How disappointing. I feel kind of like I let us down. Okay, this looks great. Okay, we're finally gonna get tested, huh? As tempting as it is to Bankbuster here, I think that I'm just better off going for Throats. Fortunately, Bankbuster not being Maze Mind Tome is probably going to be pretty painful here. I would really prefer to be scrying and eventually gaining 4 life. So we have Cut Down and Fatal Push to draw towards. We also have Constructed All-Star Circuit Mender to hard counter the red decks. All right. Gain 5 life, draw a card. Love to see it. I think we would prefer to Muldrifter here to playing Bankbuster to try to maximize our odds of getting to play Scarab God next turn, because Scarab God into Reanimate Circuit Mender sounds like a good time. Muldrifter into, hey, you would have missed lands, but here's a Meat Hook is also good. Ooh, but we will need to hit a land to be able to Meat Hook a Bone Crusher, or they could just not play Bone Crusher for us. That's also very polite of them. We would still like to hit a land. Thank you. It It's very tempting to just Scarab God anyway. And just Meat Hook on a later turn. That's probably wrong. I don't want to get blown out if they have literally anything that can kill Scarab God. They're probably not going to Dragon Engine yet. I would have assumed that they wanted to get rid of cards from their hand, though. Yeah, oh well. Alrighty, I got some Scarabs Gods. And it kind of implies they have removal spells, though, that they couldn't play last turn. So I'm not entirely certain whether I'm confident the Scarab God's going to stay alive. I would like if it didn't. Or rather, I would like if it did. Didn't die, did stay alive. So if I block, presumably they've got an exile spell for this, or they wouldn't have gone for it. Otherwise, it's just coming back. But, I mean, even if they kill an exile Scarab God, if it trades with the Bone Crusher and buys time for me to do something else, that's good enough for me. Yeah, like, if they were to Embrith to trade there, I'm actually just totally fine with that. I mean, that's good. Lack of land's concerning. I was really hoping we would start to get to turn on this Field of the Dead by now. Okay, so taking 6 down to... No, only taking 4? Okay. Glorybringer gone, we gain a life. Onyx sitting on board makes it so that we gain life when we cast future spells. Chandra... If that doesn't get paired with a removal spell to kill Scarab God, I'm mostly happy. It does do that. Alright, that's pretty bad. That's pretty awful. So at 5, Chandra on board. Ow, that's not remotely helpful. Yeah, I think we missed too many land drops. I don't know how we're getting out of this one. How do we do this? Draw a card for 4 mana. Draw Fatal Push. Still taking 7 even if we kill that. 5 types of land, so we don't get a blocker. Which means time to play around, settle the wreckage. Need the opponent to only swing with 1 creature here. I forgot if we committed, we would get to, or if we drew into a removal spell, we gained life, but Don't think that's going to matter. No respect for the settle. Okay, well, I do not have it. Aside from all of the missing land drops, that was a pretty good anti-aggro hand that still didn't work, which is kind of not a good sign. It's hard to ask for things to go too much better than that, other than the part where we make land drops. So, like, in a world where that game goes perfectly for us, we do win it, which means that it's not horrible, but the fact that we couldn't really scrape through in that position, not a good sign. This hand looks totally fine and very reasonable. Turn 2 search for Escanta on the play will never be something I say no to, but apparently we're playing against aggro, so we'll see. Got a lot of board wipes though, so there's hope. We'll take Visionary, not a card that is killable by Lauren, regrettably. Submit 0, please. Okay. I'm not sure whether playing Lauren baited them into overextending into the board, but either way, the result was mostly effective. It prevented 3 damage, and throwing a card away to prevent 3 damage and let them draw a card, I think, given that I've got Search for Escanta in play, is kind of a position that I'm just okay with here. I think drawing an untapped land is so important that I'm willing to bin the guaranteed 5th land. Alright. Opponent having nothing to do on turn 4 is at least a pretty good sign. And I think I just have to accept that. Does this transform if I... No. Okay. Draw. Well, still missing land drops. Not excited about that. I don't know why my brain always thinks Phyrexian Dragon Engine does 8 damage when it unearths. Like, somehow it's eternalized. I really want that island, but I really want to transform Search for Escanta. So let's just transform Search for Escanta and also draw a blue source. White source is not a blue source, but it's pretty close. What is my opponent on that they are so willing to do nothing off of a Phoenix Chick start? What's going on here? Six mana Chandra is kind of handleable here. They can downtick to kill Scarab God, but that means they didn't uptick it, and then we just kill it with the Bankbuster on the backswing. Tyrant's kind of annoying. Losing life certainly isn't fun. Do we have anything meaningful we can reanimate to get rid of that? Well, we can bounce it. Then they replay it. Am I fine with that? I mean, we're doing 9 if they replay it. And that's, like, lethal, so... I think we're just bouncing it. And then we hold up Spell Pierce plus activate Scarab God. Okay. So reanimate Dragon Engine is a 4/4 double striker. Go to my turn. Reanimate Glorybringer as a 4/4 haste flyer. Drain 2. Hold up Spell Pierce. Okay. Well, I'm not exactly sure what my opponent's deck was doing, but it certainly looked like too many top-end cards. But, yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I'll take it, though. So 7-2, 7-2, 7-1, with mono white performing the best. I gotta say, I felt like of those decks, the control deck was the worst, but I guess we largely got favorable matchups. So perhaps not the most surprising given that it did as well as the first deck, but that was the 7th win. So in total you win, what, 21-5? Not a bad start for Cuban. Not a bad start at all.